As human beings, we were actually designed to create. The opposite of that is when you consume. If you endlessly consume, you get depleted in your energy resource. But if you create, you get energized.
Self-worth started getting dependent on getting this. That when people say, I'm good, I'm good. When people say, I'm not good, I'm not good.
How should people really be thinking of identity? And how much is that identity, the real you?
So we need to know the I, and we need to know the nature of the I. And the original nature of every energy, that is of every being, is purity, peace, love, power, happiness, wisdom, bliss. This is your identity. If your original nature is coming out into your world of action, which means you're using your original nature of purity, love, peace, happiness, is a normal way of being in whatever you're doing, you will never feel that void.
Honestly, I feel like I was dead inside until I started writing music again. I think that it was such an awakening for me. It's a source of energy for me.
When the source of all you're doing is the I, like you feel abundant, you feel fulfilled.
So even in spirituality, we have a very powerful word. It's called mar jiva. Jeete ji mar jana. Matlab, when we change a costume, everything changes for us. Everything changes. So you don't have to wait to change the costume. You're going to be in that costume, but change everything as if you're a new person and you're a new life.
What is one advice that somebody gave you that changed your way of thinking?
A very warm welcome to another episode of our ThinkRight podcast. And for this episode, we have someone with us who is a very unique person who has gone through many journeys in very different ways. Born in the US, grown up for 30 years there, moved to India, entrepreneur, musician, producer, creativity that is unlocking in a human being. Very warm welcome to you, JKIN.
Thank you so much.
And to join us, of course, in this wonderful discussion we always have with us, our ever radiant and blissful sister Shivani. Thank you so much for being here. So it's great to have you, Jay, here, and hopefully we'll listen to some music also as we are going through this podcast. But to begin with, maybe a good way to kind of understand this conversation is where you have got to today. A little bit about your journey, right? I mean, where you started and where you are today, because all of our podcasts, many people relate to them in different ways.
Right.
Someone who's been through some particular kind of journey, seen certain types of shifts, career-wise, and I mean, then we'll come to what you're doing right now.
Sure. I mean, of course, I can start as far back as you'd like, but I can say, certain milestones are part of my journey that I think define me as who I am as a person. Is just that, I was born and raised in America, and my parents were immigrants there, first generation, came with just nothing but education, right? And my father, of course. And I spent my formative years in Texas. I was born in Texas, but I was really raised in Florida primarily. And I grew up on the beach, in a beach community, revolving, around surfing and the whole beach life and skateboarding and punk rock music. And this was like my childhood, my formative years. And I ended up living, all over America. I moved many times. As I mentioned, I went to 7 high schools in 4 years, which is a lot to digest, right? And, I guess it's destiny where I ended up living in India by my choice. And then I've been here since. I've been here for 17 years now. So that's a little bit in a nutshell of,
And so what you did in your childhood, right? The experiences of skateboarding, punk music. Through your rest of your life, you did many, many things. And now you have dedicated yourself to become a musician and, come back to to what touched you when you were a child?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think I have come back to, embrace the essence of who I truly am, and do that with less, I would say, concern of how that's received necessarily by other people. Because I think in life, a part of part of my growth journey was just learning to be okay with, projecting what's inside of you to the outside world without the concern of, are you fitting into a specific mold of the way that people tell you should be, right? Whether it's media or whether it's your influences that show you, what does happiness look like? What does success look like? What does, growth look like, for example? So I think, that's probably my biggest learning in this journey, was just to be myself authentically.
So when people actually go through this kind of a shift in a journey where they are, like you said, moved high schools, come here, and then you return back and you get a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
You get a sense of not being judged. Right? Why does one have to actually go through a journey to experience that? If there is that passion or something that is there, somewhere the external influence, we pay too much attention to the outside, right?
We've taught that way. We were groomed that way. Even as a kid, when someone would come home, we will say, show your painting, show uncle, auntie your poem, sing that song for them. Done with the very purest intention to motivate the child, and, of course. But that time when that child gets that approval, that approval doesn't come as, okay, good dancer or good singer. Those uncles and aunties said, good girl, good boy. And had they said good singer, good dancer, good painter, I would have said, okay, what I've done is good. And they said, good girl, very good girl, you did this, very good boy. And if someone was not able to, bad boy, you were not able to do this much. Somewhere our self-worth, not just what you're doing, the self-worth started getting dependent on getting this. That when people say, I'm good, I'm good. When people say, I'm not good, I'm not good. Because otherwise also people say, sabne bola, kitna acha bacha hai, good girl. So it was more dependent on what people say about us. We were not taught that my self-worth depends on how I feel about myself. That was not taught anywhere. Like, what is everybody saying about you? If everyone's saying you're a good girl, then you're a good girl. If people are saying you're not good, you're not good. So that made us very dependent on public opinion, not just in what we do, but also in who we are. And so many of us don't have the courage to be a certain way or do a certain thing which is not going to get public approval. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Because we start feeling if they are not approving of me, then I'm not right. So that requires courage. But it's not that we are revolting or that's not the thing. It's like what you're saying is right, but maybe your right can be different from someone else's right. And we just need to see whether that thing is doing well for me. Somebody else might not. It will not do well for somebody else. But if it's doing well for me, I should be able to do it. And I should be doing it, even if nobody is approving of me. So that's the courage we need. Not there's no intention of revolting or retaliating. It's just that this works well for me. And then gradually you also see people also seeing that good in you and approving of it. But maybe for a lifetime you will not see that. But if you have the courage to work on that.
Yeah. So you need the courage, and when you say, you're going back to that, since you mentioned childhood skateboarders, like even today, right, when you see a skateboarder, you see someone, there's a particular impression about that personality type, right? You probably understand that personality type because you grow up in America, as an Indian, immigrant, right? And probably, gelled with that thought process because the influence of where you grow is so, and this is true about so many, we talk of NRI kids who come back and, the American influence, versus, what is sometimes at home you emphasize. It leads to, did it lead to some confusion for you, or was it something that was acceptable by the family? How did you probably view yourself as an American right through? Or?
So I'll talk about two different things, right? I'll talk about just my own identity as an Indian, in America growing up. I think that I was not truly sure of who I was, right? Like, I didn't necessarily view myself as Indian because I just didn't have any influence from India. My mother is actually Christian. My father is Hindu, but religious belief system in my household was not very strong. I didn't know any other Indian kids growing up, and we never came to India. I came to India the first time when I was 21, right? So it was confusing, right, growing up, because you kind of see everyone else around you, and somewhere at some point, there must have been some insecurities in myself of like, well, how come I don't look like this? How come I don't have blonde hair and blue eyes? Is that what means you're good looking, So it was an interesting journey. And then, of course, like I said, shifting 7 times in 4 years to new high schools, and, redefining yourself each time, it was challenging. Of course, it gave me a lot of gifts in life of the ability to kind of really dive into my own self-awareness at an early age, to just understand, how do I project myself in a way in a new environment for where I can quickly attain friendships or quickly be accepted, Now, coupled with that, what did give me identity from childhood is punk rock music, skateboarding, and surfing, because these were a part of my identity as a child. My brother had a punk band when I was like 10, he was 13. My whole house was always filled with music. Band practice was there. My parents were very encouraging of all this kind of stuff. Our house was like a total hangout for everybody. And although I think the perception for some people at different periods in time were that, yes, skateboarding and punk is more about like rebels and people who are anti-establishment, against authority. But I think it's evolved so much. For me, I think these kind of I don't want to call it activities, but these kind of personas, they allow you to explore yourself and the world outside of a box that you're typically told life should look like. And I think there's a lot of like growth that can come out of that. I don't know. For me, it's just what gave me my identity, And I think at some point in my life, I think I did move away from it for some time because I wanted to succeed in my business. And for some reason, I thought that this doesn't really go with that persona necessarily.
How should people really be thinking of identity? And how much is that identity, the real you, right? Because each person, each human being is different. They're on their own journey, as we say, each soul. And then we have this common identity that tends to, one is that, and then multiple identities defining you, because we have multiple, right? I mean, my passion is something, my spiritual, so we'll have multiple identities. How should people be thinking about identity, and what would your thought be? I just thought it'd be interesting.
There are two words actually, I and mine. So mine is a long list, starting from my body to my family, to my religion, my nationality, and of course my degree, my qualification, my achievements. That is all my. I is only one answer. That I am that beautiful, divine, powerful soul, just energy. That is my true identity. That is who I am. I am not anything else. I am this energy. Everything that I acquire, it's a long journey of what we acquire. everything that I acquire, everything that I get connected to, attached to, people make that my identity. And then I start believing that this is my identity. Even the gender of the body is not my identity. That gender of the body is the gender of the costume that I am wearing. I, the soul, am in a female body today. I could have been in a male body previously. I can be in a male body next time. My identity is not going to change. The costume that I'm wearing is like today I'm wearing a sari. Tomorrow, if I'm wearing a suit, it's a different costume. My identity doesn't change. But today in a world, we are not talking about that I as the identity. We have this long list of identity because of based on everything that we acquire. But then on the journey, we also lose, right? We also lose certain things. So it's always, that's why there is an identity crisis when we lose something, because we thought that was my identity. So now if I am not that, then who am I? So who am I becomes a very big question mark. So spirituality actually introduces me to myself. Everything that I have acquired is very important, but that is not I. That is not I. My religion is my religion. I am not religion. Country is my country. I live in that country. Tomorrow I could live in another country. He was living first. So when you say, I am Indian, I am American, now this becomes identity. He was living in America. Now he's living in India. We don't know next year where he will be living. We should not make these labels as our identity, because then there is an identity issue. Otherwise, there is no identity issue at all. This religion, so this is my identity. My identity means who am I? Once we know the who am I answer, then everything else we're able to flow, and we're also able to accept people easily. Otherwise, we are also connecting to people based on that identity thing, religion, gender, everything. So for us, it's very simple. There's no identity crisis because we know this is who I am. Everything else is mine. Go with that.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very powerful way to look at
issues,
it.
You don't have issues with identity then.
So whatever is you consider identity is a part of my thing. It is not
mine.
really me.
It's I is different and my is different. It's like your t-shirt. This cannot be your identity. You're wearing it. It's your costume for the day. Similarly, this body is my costume for, let's say, 50, 100 years. After that, I will leave this costume and I'll wear another one. It's not my identity. My identity will not change. That is me. All these things are transient.
So whatever people talk of identity crises and all are all related to the outer, to the my's.
To the my. But my will keep changing. Your relationships keep changing. The way your body looks will keep changing. What you achieve will keep changing. You change your country, that will change. People change their religion. That doesn't change their identity. They just change their religion or they just change their country. Identity is not going to change.
So I think it's more the social identity or the way others view you, right? Where we started. And somewhere you start sticking to that identity because people say that's what you are, right? Yeah.
I think that's very powerful what you just said. In fact, my band is called Jay's Dead, which is, I don't know how that hits you as a name, but a lot of people ask me why, right? And I think a part of, coming back to your identity, right? Like for me, when I was a child, I knew what I liked. I knew that I liked certain things. I was passionate about certain things like music or acting or these things that just made me happy naturally. I didn't have to think about them. And in fact, it's blissful. I think, of course, I have a teenage kid. I have a 17-year-old. He's going to be 18. And watching the kids grow up today, especially in India, I find that a lot of kids don't have a passion early on in life. And it surprises me. Like they don't know what they like, and I feel like when you do know what you like from an early childhood, that's such a blessing, right? Because that's your natural state of who you are. But what I feel like is that the way that, at least in my experience growing up, you're not really encouraged necessarily in the things that you like. You're encouraged to follow the path of the way that, all these things are supposed to look like. It's better to go for engineering or be a doctor. yeah, happiness means this, right? Success means you have a, you know, a certain car or a certain household, or, you know. So I think you start to then ignore your natural state, right? Which is what your inner child wants, or maybe it just knew that it wants these things. And you push that aside, right? And I feel you go through life then building this other identity, which is not really you. It's just what the world wants to, you know, perceive as you, or rather what you want the world to perceive as you, you know. And that creates a void, you know, and it creates a discongruency in your own system. And I feel like you try and fill that void with whatever it is, you know, like material success or relationship success, but nothing actually fills that. And the day you realize that, you know, that what you knew as a child, in a way, if you had that kind of realization at any point in your life, you have to feed your inner self that. You have to give that to yourself. Now, whether that's your career or your passion or a hobby, that doesn't matter, because that's what gives you that energy to sustain yourself and to do the other things that you have to do, whether it's a task that you like to or not, or, you know, work or earn, you know. But so that's where I feel, you know, it's the point where you, in other words, have to let go of that identity. So that's why I came up with the name Jay is Dead, right? Because it was a point in my life where I realized that it's a good thing. You don't have to hold on to this mold that you've created, you know, in society. You should let things go and recreate yourself many times in life. Because with each of these recreations, you grow. There's more self-awareness, you know, there's more kind of introspection and being okay with redefining yourself a lot, you know.
So you're saying that Jay is dead and the new one is arisen?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that the kind of...
Definitely.
You know, and that new one is what your inner child, in a way, was when you were there. So this void, I think he said, you know, we fill it with material things, with everything which is very short-lived, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that is really the deeper spiritual thing, because we start getting attached to all of those things and hold on to it just because, you know, we don't know better, right? So one way is to, of course, go back to that same passion and then maybe do, but through this journey, like, so that what Jay went through, say, for example, what could make that journey smoother? Is it a deeper understanding of the self, some practices, some discipline?
So we need to know the I, and we need to know the nature of the I. So I am that energy, and the original nature of every energy, that is of every being, is purity, peace, love, power, happiness, wisdom, bliss. These 7 qualities are everybody's nature. This is your identity. Now come into your world of action, which means whatever you're doing, but you use those qualities in your action, which means allow your original nature to come out into the world of action. If your original nature is coming out into your world of action, which means you're using your original nature of purity, love, peace, happiness, is a normal way of being in whatever you're doing, you will never feel that void. Because you are using your original nature, and that quality, you're experiencing it again and again. Now, what happened in the last few years? In the process of achieving, we were creating stress. We were creating anger. We were not using happiness as our nature. We were working for happiness. We were not working happily. We were working stressed and thinking that I will get happy when I achieve. And in the process, we started creating a lot of stress. So then irritation, then anger, then jealousy. Now, when we were creating all these emotions, that original nature was not coming into action. So I started feeling that void, that what am I doing? Some people will say, what is the purpose of my life? Because they are doing very well outside, but they're still not feeling that nice feeling which they know that they want to feel.
And
But
which
they
you
don't know.
felt before.
Yeah, you
right?
felt, because as a child, that's why as a child, you are very innocent, you're very pure because you're feeling all those. But when you have these layers of everything we achieve and we acquire, that feeling starts disappearing only because we're not using it into action. If we keep using it into action, you'll never feel that void because your original nature is getting used. It's like a tree. What is the tree doing? It's giving out oxygen. It is not giving out oxygen for us. Giving out oxygen is its natural way of being. But that is the cause of the growth of that tree. Tomorrow, if this tree decides to stop giving out oxygen, what will happen to us is a different story. But what will happen to the tree? So this is what has happened to us. We stopped giving out happiness in action. We thought we will get happiness, we will get love. And because of that, we feel that void. So when we say Jay is dead, it means that way of living is over. So even in spirituality, we have a very powerful word. It's called mar jiva. Jeete ji mar jana. That is our life. Jeete ji mar jana. Jeete ji mar jana matlab all those old sanskars. When we change a costume, everything changes for us, right?
Yeah.
Everything changes. So you don't have to wait to change the costume. You're going to be in that costume, but change everything as if you're a new person and you're a new life. So we use this word every day.
Jeete ji
mar jana. Matlab dying
While
alive.
you're living.
Yeah.
Dying alive.
Yes.
You are alive, but you are dying from that way of living, that way of being, to a completely different way of living and being.
Technically, everything is getting re-energized. Every cell in your body changes.
Everything.
Absolutely.
And then whatever you do now, if you are operating through that identity and that consciousness, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be something very great. It could be something very ordinary. You're still experiencing that feeling because you're not waiting for that feeling to come from what you are doing. You are creating that feeling while doing. So you don't feel that void because you are creating that feeling. So you're not dependent on your achievement for happiness. You're working happily. Tomorrow, if you get an achievement, it's of course very good. But in case you don't, you lose money, you lose position, you lose fame, but you don't lose happiness because that is your creation. That's not coming from there. So it's a very different way.
And it's also sustained. So
It
you
will
feel
remain.
that change since you become Jay's Dead? Or since you set up this Jay's Dead band?
100%. I mean, I feel like, honestly, I feel like I was dead inside until I started writing music again. I think that it was such an awakening for me because I ignored it, and it's something that was in me since childhood. And I think that it gives me so much energy. So it's really a source of energy for me, right? That I have no end to it, right? Like meaning like I can sit and write or record or do anything related to this like forever. I have no end to my power source for it. And like I said earlier, it gives me the energy to do the other things that I need to do in my life. Like it's a recharge for me. So I like the balance of it, you know. I feel like as human beings, we were actually designed to create. I feel like that. And I feel like, you know, the opposite of that is when you consume. So I feel like you know, more, if you endlessly consume, you get depleted in your energy resource. But if you create, you get energized. It's just a natural state of, you know.
So in the spirit, it's like Sister Shivani said, it's like giving is like creating, and taking is like consuming.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know? So these are natural laws, you know, that affect emotion, affect your state of being. And, you know, people go through that same thing through different journeys, right? Like what Jay is mentioning. And now you're at a point where you're in that, whatever, creation, giving state. And now the best of you is, and you know, you write your own songs as well, right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
So what are the kind of songs you're writing? I mean, is that also influenced by your life's journey, or is that from, what is the source of that creativity?
100%. It's influenced by my experiences in life and my life's journey. I would say I have two kind of styles of writing. One which is a little more kind of abstract and introspective, just it might be themed over a couple of different experiences that I've gone through, and just channeling those emotions into the music, right? And I think the other style is a little bit more narrative, like anecdotal about a specific kind of experience or a topic. Like I have songs about just the struggles of childhood, and funnily enough, I have songs about being in your 40s and dating, in today's society through dating apps, like, and humorous stuff. So I like to touch different subjects. I think the thread that is common in the fabric of my music is just I would say it's like laughing through tears. It's like laughing through pain. It's like being okay with the experiences that, come to you, and having the mindset to understand that, if you don't get challenged in life and you're not able to face them with the mindset that, hey, this challenge has come to me for me to grow, right? Then, then you're missing the point, I feel like. I had a question, if I can just,
of course, please,
change the narrative. I don't know exactly what.
No. Go ahead.
But I just was curious, sister, since you're so kind of attuned in self-awareness. I would be curious to know, what is one advice that somebody gave you in your lifetime revolving around self-awareness that changed your way of thinking? I would love to know that.
It's not one specific advice which changed thinking. It's a daily study that's going on, and that thinking is still changing. It's still changing. But how it began on this journey was just, I saw my mother on this journey, and just seeing her and seeing her shift. And of course, she was asking me to experiment, but I was not very keen on experimenting. I felt I didn't find the need for it. But maybe just her vibrations at home, or I really don't know what the reason was. But I just felt like experimenting with it without anything having happened or any specific magical moment or something. Nothing like that. It was just, okay, when I can see something nice around me, I can experiment with it to see how it is. And then it's a journey. Daily study, daily learning, daily experimenting, daily experiencing, then that adding to your experimenting next. So it's a journey. It's still going on. Ongoing journey of connecting deeper and deeper to that I. Being in the world of my, but remaining connected to the I.
And when the source of all you're doing is the I, like you feel abundant, you feel fulfilled without, then everything that you're doing is done with a very different spirit, right? There's no fear or fail. It's different because nothing's going to shake you from what you're doing, right? And I know because we've seen this shift and journey in her life, having known her from both the earlier and
it was earlier in Pune,
right? When she was
school here,
so one has seen that shift, right? And you know how life is, and everybody finds their journey, their purpose, and it takes them wherever they need to be or what they choose to be. But I think what she's doing is benefiting so many people, because to be able to discover, and more so in today's times, right, where there's so much uncertainty around you, there's just so much noise, you have to declutter, get the noise away and focus on, the beautiful music, or, the music that gets you taking, instead it's good because you should talk a little bit about punk music, because maybe some of our people who are hearing this, and that skateboard, before that you tried to bring skateboarding to India and brought all the biggest skateboarders and all prior to doing this, while he was continuing to do his entrepreneurship journey and other things. And then I realized that these communities are very similar, right? But when it comes to like punk music and skateboarding, what is that? Like you said, right? There is an identity, there is a audience for that. And what is that profile of music, and how is it different?
So punk music, I wouldn't want to be the kind of champion to say that I can define it per se, but I can do the best I can. I think it's really, it's just about not following or not conforming to what you're told, and just to experiment whatever it is with your passion and play your music loud and express your emotion through it, right? And not care so much about like the technical format of it, or, how correct or incorrect it is, politically or technically. I think it's just about, it's just expressing yourself and the freedom to express yourself. It's actually, the most thing is about the freedom, to kind of just express yourself through it. So I think people that end up liking punk rock or liking skateboarding and stuff like that definitely are people that look at the world differently, and definitely are not satisfied with what they're being sold, right? In the idea of, again, what you should consume and what people typically consume. So it's a different, it takes a different character to like this. At least to give it a chance. I can say if you give it a chance enough and you experiment with it, you'll find that it brings out a lot of fun qualities in yourself that everybody needs, right? You have to have fun in life. You have to not take yourself so seriously where you miss out on all the beauty of what's available to you, right?
It's great. No, maybe you can you share the lyrics of one of your songs?
So there's a song that we released on Spotify with GMJ and Warner Music, and it's called My Hands. And the song was inspired actually by many instances in my life, but I think the inspiration, the genesis of it was, it was just watching my dad one day, who's now 82. And, of course, your father is your source of power or strength. And, in some cases, your mother is too. But, he's starting to have difficulties with his hands. And, he was not able to hold certain things in a way that he used to be able to hold it. So that's what it was kind of themed around. So I can tell you the lyrics if you'd like. It starts off by saying, but it's a little more poetic. Yeah. So it's not like it has I don't know what you will derive from it, but it says, all the people walking, all the people talking, they don't know what they're doing, acting and doing the same stuff every day. Push it up, pull it down, careless snakes lay on the ground. Father, son, they go to work, turn around, and they do it once again. And then it says, pleased to meet you, master, cookie cutter pastor. We prayed for their forgiveness, but rotten words of wisdom that they say. Chips installed in their skin, programs lack attention. Kids do find their purpose. They go and fall into a line and march ahead. And then the chorus is, I can't hold the things that are in my hands, and mom and dad will never understand. That's the lyrics. That's part of the lyrics.
No, but they and each person will relate to that same thing so differently, right? Like your source, yeah. I can't hold the things in my hand came from
my
your father.
Yeah.
Someone else will say, you know what, I just don't have the ability to hold on to things, that will be probably the most natural one, and the power of words, music, it has
it's art.
Yeah.
It's a vibration.
Yeah.
It's a vibration. The song is an emotion. And again, that's why when people say, AI is being used for writing songs, AI is being used for creating music. True, but I don't know what they'll do next, but what is available right now, you can clearly see the difference in that song which is written.
There's no emotion.
There is no emotion. There is no feeling in it. It's just good words put together. And so that's the missing thing. So when somebody's singing and writing, it's not just words. It's the emotion of that person who's written and singing, and that energizes people. And that's why it's a way, you just said, okay, and I just want to sit and listen to a song. But why? What's going to give you the emotion and the energy of that other person helps you to create a certain energy in you. So, but you be careful what kind of songs and music you're listening to, because it's going to create that same energy in you. And that's why it's a very, so people like to use songs even for meditation, because that also is creating a certain energy in you. So the energy of the writer, the energy of the singer, very beautiful, powerful source of you creating that energy in you.
I'd even like to take this challenge I'm saying, and I'm not sure if I could pass this test, but I was saying maybe if you're not able to tell the difference between an AI song and a song that was written by and sung by a real person, maybe you're not actually as in touch with your emotions as you should be. Because you should be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, because that is the core essence of the human.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what we've been discussing.
Yeah.
And I think, with ThinkRight, because AI is going to so largely shape the lives of people today, we cannot not be talking about AI and its impact. And maybe better to do it earlier than later. Because ultimately, how you engage with AI is ultimately going to be what you act, and it's going to come in your thoughts, it's going to come in your sanskar in any way, right? So, no conversation really today is complete without the AI piece,
100%.
because it's becoming it's so obvious in society that it is now taking over, everything, learning, everything. Intelligence is democratized. So what we really go back to the value of emotion.
Yeah.
And if punk music is the source of that, is that emotion. And if that is being packaged, I think there's a chance or an opportunity with someone like you and others in this industry to bring it back to that raw source of making it happen. Right?
I think that's what's really working for what we are doing in India is that, first of all, I don't think there are many musicians in this country who are playing this genre of music authentically. I mean, there are, of course, no doubt. And there are some great musicians. In fact, there's endless talent in India. It's amazing. But for whatever reason, not too many artists have been able to surface from India and cross over to other countries and be accepted into like the pop culture of the mainstream music, right? Not that that's our goal or anything like that. But what I feel that we're able to do differently in India is, the music that we're playing, it's authentic, it's good, it's based on my own life experiences, my lens, but it's done, it's conveyed in such a way that's very relatable to people. And, we're giving people an outlet through music to like express themselves in a different way. Like it's like I would say it's the fun rebelliousness, not the angry rebelliousness. It's like the fun rebelliousness, and you need that. Like people need to feel okay with being different. I think that's what's gratifying to me, is I feel like we're able to reach people in a way that maybe they're not used to being reached, with like blatant authenticity.
I think, and the Gen Z and today's young generation, right? Like we work so closely with them, and it starts with like you don't get us, and we say, okay, we don't, and let us understand you. Here is something that says, do be what you want to be, right? I mean, there's nothing right, nothing wrong, like. But if you do that from a sense of the I, that I'm on a journey and I'm in a role, and yes, whatever is the repercussions, good, bad, ugly, of that journey, I will carry forward with me. But at least I'm being able to be authentic, and wherever I am today, at least I'm not, being taken away by societal norms,
Creative also.
It's a great.
You become creative. Creative in the sense, not necessarily singing, lighting. Everybody probably feels I can't do that. Just creative in the way you think and creative in the way you live. That's also certain norms that we have created. You have to think like this. You have to be like this. You have to do like this. without causing obviously anything to anybody else. But creativity in the way we think and respond to situations is also another way where you will be able to feel that vibration which you're able to create.
As JKIN says, we're deeply involved in the creator economy.
Yeah,
and every individual is bringing out their best creativity in some shape and form. As a matter of fact, there's a global word now to that economy. It's called the orange economy.
Achha.
It's an orange economy where creativity and culture, how much does it contribute monetarily to the country's GDP, to the economy, and globally, right? It includes what you said, whether it's in music, it's in fashion, it's in food. Creativity can be expressed in every lifestyle, in everything, right? I think it comes from, that more authentic source of what, and that's where the human mind takes us, right?
I read a quote, I don't know when, but recently that said, it was really nice. It said that creativity is the child that survived in you, which I think is pretty cool to think about, I think it takes guts to explore creativity, and I don't think enough people do in their life. Like they're not tuned to do anything with their hands that, allows them to express their emotion, whether it's art or music or, something that we were meant to create, actually.
As a society, right, we say, okay, these are creative people, these are non-creative people. We bucket everybody, and each has a strength.
But I don't think that. Oh, sorry, please.
Yeah. No, I said each has a strength.
Yeah.
But because many people, like somewhere we can just come in, do the same thing, boring stuff day after day, and lead their life, and very happy, very gratified. So I think their creativity is the consistency, because even that is hard, right? And there is this creativity which we view as is creative in doing different things, doing more things, continuing to unlock new passion, or come from a source that enables you to live a life fully because you believe that creativity is there. I think creativity is more, when I look at the word create, is more the creation, or what you said, create. Right? That is the power.
But one is creativity in the doing, and one is also creativity in the being.
Yes.
So if you just be creative with the way you're going to respond to the same situation the next time a different way. Be creative. Don't just respond the way you have always been responding to that same scene of life, or responding the way everybody else is responding. Create a new way of responding to that situation. Create a new way of thinking in this same situation. Create a new way of being in the same crisis. Even that changes your vibration, because everybody may not be able to be creative in the doing, right? But in the being, everybody can be creative. Everybody can be creative.
I agree with you. And I think, one view on creativity is that people, like you were in a way saying, that people look at, this is that creative type and person, and this is not. Whereas I feel just like love, for example, is a force that exists in this world that you choose to kind of exercise, or you choose to delve into. I feel like creativity is the same way. It's not something that, you're born necessarily with. You might have inclinations toward. Everybody has a creative side. Everybody. You have creative problem solving, thinking, the way that a businessman can solve XYZ problems may be very different than the way an artist can paint on a page, but it's all creativity. But I think the important thing is that you dare to play with your creativity. You dare to explore it and grow from it and, widen it, basically.
And all of human progress, right, the way we see it, is built by people who have had the courage to use that creativity to do things, go where no man has gone before, do new things. That is what has expanded the universe, and it's natural.
That's punk rock too.
It's punk rock too, right? No, I mean, what a wonderful way to correlate, all of this thing. And
dare, right? You gotta dare to do. You gotta dare to step out of your skin,
So wonderful. I think it's been such a wonderful conversation, Jay. Thank you for being here. And I think we've had a lovely, great energy, and it kind of tied up, right? And I must say, I want to end with telling you that India is unlocking their journey on creativity in a very different way.
Yeah.
The government is creating, the Prime Minister himself is leading Create in India. There's the first Indian Institute of creative technologies, like what were the IITs, adding the word creative before the word technology.
Yeah.
Because to succeed in the future world, particularly when it comes to income, and you may not have very large enterprises giving livelihoods because if jobs change with AI, but the creative power of each individual can help them unlock a lot of power. So it's a defining time, I think, for the world. It's a defining time for the human race. It's a defining time for society on how do we use creativity and create to be able to make many changes.
And India, right?
And India.
But India has such a history of creativity, actually.
And it has got a history of creativity.
We just need to revive that, basically.
We'll do it. Congrats. Yeah.
May I give you a T-shirt?
Yeah.
I brought a T-shirt for you.
Yeah,
if you'd like to. So this is our band, Jay's Dead, and you can take a look at the shirt, but I'll just show you this is like a little story about our main mascot and character based off of my experiences in life, but I'd like to, and some stickers, but I'd like to give this to
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
A little taste of punk rock for Sister Shivani.
Thank you.
Thank you
Lovely.
so much.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you
so much.
Sister Shivani,
you.
for a wonderful
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you.
Do you want to end with something, one word? He gave you a T-shirt. Any advice or something you want to give him?
His personality trait is power, because he's fearless. And that power, when you add it with creativity, is going to create magic for the world. I'm sure of that. Because power, a lot of people can be creative, but to be fearless is a different sanskar. So that fearless and that power, you have that sanskar. So when you add it with creativity.
So good luck.
Om Shanti.
Good luck to
Thank
Jay.
you so much.
Om Shanti.
You too can start or enhance your mindfulness journey using the ThinkRight app on iOS and Android store. It's got a huge number of daily affirmations, daily journeys, daily meditations that will enable us to hold your hand as you move in this transformative journey of life.